Soul is the parts that make a game work. Music, combat, visuals, story, Avowed has them all. Heart is the part of a game which makes you care. Do soul and heart overlap? Absolutely, but they can also hinder each other. In this video, we'll discuss the soul and heart of Avowed. Avowed has had a mixed reception, and I completely understand why. It has the makeup of a fantastic fantasy RPG. Unfortunately, it falls into an extremely popular genre of video games: fantasy. The most popular games of all time are in this genre. Skyrim, for example. I can already hear the supporters of Avowed getting ready to yell, because Avowed never promised to be Skyrim. Just like Obsidian's space RPG, The Outer Worlds never promised to be the next Mass Effect. However, in my opinion, The Outer Worlds had a twist that made it a more cynical take on what would happen if humans actually made it into space. And it had a lot of heart. Basically, I'm saying Avowed is in an oversaturated genre, and it didn't do a lot to try to separate itself. So everyone went in with one thing in mind: Skyrim. We humans love to compartmentalize, and you have to fight to make people not do that. In my head, The Outer Worlds is nothing like Mass Effect, but Avowed has somehow crept into the same box as Skyrim, even though this wasn't something that was promised. Avowed's story has some really interesting moments, and it was those moments that kept me going. However, I reached a point in the story where I was taking part in a trial to prove myself. Trial 1 was strength. What impossible creature will I need to take on to prove myself in battle? Oh, it's the same skeletons I've been fighting for the past 2 hours? Okay. The trial of wisdom was more like a trial of agility, although it was hilarious and proves that I am not wise. A major story decision, an enemy interrupted us and skipped a cutscene, and I was asked to choose between 2 plans, and I had no idea what was going on, and picked a plan and loads of people died. Obviously, this is a bug that can be fixed, but it's like the game was slowly sucking out everything I could possibly care about. The companions were kind of uninspired, none had a unique backstory that drew me in. Marius gets a lot of hate as a companion because people find him annoying, but he was actually the one guy who changed and grew. I would have died for my Outer Worlds companions, not to be an Outer Worlds fangirl, in case the second game is bad. But I would have died for my Pentiment friends. No. No. I don't even feel like I have any good footage to show, because I felt like I was constantly in combat, slashing and hacking away. Speaking of combat, it was okay. The lack of enemy variety really made me want to avoid combat by the end. Screw those skeleton priests who constantly heal everyone, and screw my companions for not helping very much. I found the cities to be mostly lifeless, with merchants hanging around but no one else to talk to or observe. Cities are my favourite part of an RPG because they help build on what the world is telling you. Hearing NPC chatter and watching their routines gives you an idea of what life is like in this world as a non-chosen one. I'm a big fan of silent protagonists, but I didn't feel like my character was able to develop a personality based on the dialogue choices available to me. There should be at least one completely out-of-pocket dialogue choice that makes you go, "I'm going to hell, but I have to say this," in every game. But there wasn't that option in any of the dialogue trees I ended up in. I don't want to complain the whole time, as tempting as that is, so let's talk about things I liked. I really like the visuals. I hope more games will try the super colourful, bright visual style this game has. It was really good for contrasting the different locations and what they meant to the world. I'm glad they have a camp-style companion system, and the feature where you can fast travel to camp and then fast travel back to the location you were at previously is amazing. The story has some very interesting things to say about godlike figures, about colonization, and about letting nature take its course. And I found the story to be quite compelling in some places. Unfortunately, things like a terrible to navigate menu system made playing the game a chore and not a pleasure. Every time I opened to the menu, I got more irritated. It's visually unappealing with your inventory just written down with a small symbol next to it, And bumpers for top level categories and triggers for subcategories. Who does that? If you liked the game, then honestly, I'm just jealous of you and want to learn your ways because I went into this game positive I would have a good time. All soul and no heart is just something I came up with when I was thinking of my thoughts on this game. I made a lot of comparisons to the Outer Worlds, and honestly, I would say that game is no soul and all heart, because it's not there technically, but charmed me like no other game. Unfortunately, Avowed just couldn't keep me interested. Thank you so much for watching. My last video had way more interest than I could ever hope, and I'm having so much fun making these videos. If you want to see more, I'd appreciate it if you could gently caress the subscribe button.